Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today. It is gonna be a Terran versus Terran, but a bot versus bot match. So if you guys check your forecast, check the weather, it's gonna be 100% chance of battle cruisers, if I had to take a guess, seeing as how one of these bots is known as BenBot, the late game, one of the late game Terran Kings. I can't call it the late game, but it is pretty darn good in the late game. It's BenBot, with the name BC Battle Cruiser in its name. Gonna be taking on VeTerran, which is a bit of a scrapper as far as bots are concerned. It's very aggressive. It makes a wide range of units, and it doesn't just dive into such a late game strategy like the other Terran bots do, really. And that's one of the things that makes VeTerran so darn fun to watch. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this match, make sure to go ahead, slap that like button like it owes you money, and then leave a comment down below saying more bots. If you want to see more of these late game matches, just say, yeah, more bots, that kind of thing, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you watch these videos, but aren't subscribed already. We're trying to hit that 10K mark. And yeah, join the Discord if you want to get notified of whenever I announce tournaments or things like that. We do have a double Reaper opening coming from VeTerran. This is one of my favorite things about it. Meanwhile, BenBot is electing to build the Great Wall, which is, I can only assume, a hard counter to VeTerran, as yeah, this is like as hard of a hard counter it gets to proc or to multiple Reapers as I can imagine. Just a wall to stop them running into the natural, and then looks like it's going to be walling off that high ground. I don't think it's got that walled off just yet, which could actually be a bit problematic. So such a weird opening from BenBot, going up to 47 supply already. That's how much supply it's already burned. There is now one Marine running to that high ground in order to shoot away on that Reaper. The Reaper is a little bit confused as it jumps up and down the cliff. Gonna get that SCV though. Another Reaper coming on in here. A Marine looking to get us around outside the bunker, but the Reaper grenades itself. So much for machine-like micro, as these Reapers just jump up and down the cliff, which is funny as they lose the high ground vision, and this one may actually go down. No, it just barely survives, as VeTerran does transition away from this multiple Reaper opening. It's got 4, and then it says time for some Marines, all the while BenBot is going to be going into that natural command center after building the Great Wall, which is actually just so funny that at some point the bot author of BenBot sat down and was like, you know what would keep me safe? Building a wall super early and going 25 supply over what I actually need. Hey, if it works though, it ain't stupid. So we've got these 2 Reapers poking around at the front. They're all still alive for VeTerran, seemingly somehow amazingly. Looks like though BenBot will get to its safe macro, and SCV is moving down for BenBot, potentially for a 3rd command center, which would be a little bit greedy. VeTerran getting up its own command center at that natural base with its own bunker, but not quite the wall to the extent of BenBot. The 4 Reapers are here as well, testing the waters, but doesn't look like they shall engage, as it is an SCV scout moving out for BenBot, while VeTerran has got a Raven on the way. BenBot is getting up an eBay, potentially for a planetary fortress. We'll see if it makes a planetary at the natural or not, or whether that's just for turrets. And there is indeed a turret going up. Reapers want to jump up there, but they cannot get up. And so the wall for BenBot is holding firm. And both of these bots will just head on into a nice steady macro. They can drop the mules as they please. It looks like VeTerran programmed to save a bit of energy on that one. BenBot, however, dropping all the mules. Very, very safe macro game after a bit of a wild opening. 3 dead SCVs, but BenBot programmed quite well, keeps those alive, is now heading on to its safety fusion core. Well, its standard fusion core, pardon me. the thing that allows it to build, you know, battle cruisers, as that is something BenBot sure does love. VeTerran, however, is no stranger to that as well. A bot that I think makes lots of Thors as a counter to BCs, which I definitely love to see. We now see Reapers microing against Hellions in a bit of an honest scrap as the Hellions get injured and then are forced to retreat. These Reapers, lower on HP, are just backing away from these Marines, not shooting at them at all, not tossing down any grenades, weirdly enough, and they will be chased across the map back home. They do toss down a grenade there when they gain a bit of HP. However, they're still being chased away. There's now 4 of them, but that's a few too many Marines. The Reapers, I think, could micro against the Marines a little bit. However, they do not do that as they're a bit scared. Tosses down a grenade. That one Reaper's a little injured. We'll skedaddle on out of there as we have a bit of an engagement going on in the middle of the map. Reapers against Hellions and Marines. It's very surprising how none of those Reapers have gone down just yet. We've now got VeTerran now starting to move out with its army, and this could actually catch BenBot off guard a little bit. All of a sudden, VeTerran says, I got a Marauder, some more Marines, double Raven, siege tank. You better back on out of here, and BenBot will do exactly that. However, Hellions in pursuit are scary as well. And BenBot is being chased seemingly all the way home. It does have a tank at its natural, though, so I imagine it will be fine. This bunker could be under a little bit of threat from the tank of VeTerran. This is going to be a really great test for both these bots to see how well they micro in this situation. We got a Viking against Viking. VeTerran's Viking does win that engagement. The tank is sieged on up for that SCV and turret. Going to get canceled. Hellion running forward, eating shots, and now the bunker is getting worked away on, as VeTerran is looking to put the pressure on its opponent. And the past couple games I've cast of VeTerran, it was almost doomed not to be able to take a 4th base, seeing as how it was playing against the Zergs that have the nasty burrow. This game, though, we already see it getting up a 3rd, and presumably it will be able to expand to a 4th, so we'll have to keep an eye on how it's able to macro up behind this pressure. The pressure has really been reduced, though, seeing as how it's just literally one siege tank, which is now going to be in trouble as it retreats away from these Marines, and this one Hellion, the tank turret locking onto those Marines. Fortunately, they cannot shoot while firing for those Marines. We've now got the 3rd command center on the way up for both sides. The main difference is VeTerran was able to get its on location. VeTerran lost a decent chunk of units in that attack. However, it kept its tank alive. It got the bunker too. BenBot actually replacing that bunker and now going up into its own battle cruiser. Interestingly enough, BenBot is researching interference matrix, as that is very useful for the Ravens. However, it doesn't have any Ravens yet, so it's kind of putting the cart before the horse, or yeah, the cart before the horse, as it's just going into that BC. A Thor is on the way for VeTerran. It does like to utilize those Thor drops with the Medivacs, which Thors are actually pretty darn good against battle cruisers in certain numbers. En masse, I think the BCs win, but then the Thors can be shuttled around with the Medivacs. It really does come down to a bit of the micro, and we know that these two have had epic late-game matches in the past. Thors against BCs. The 4th command center is now going up for VeTerran on location, whereas it's just the 3rd is just floating over for BenBot. So a bit of an economic lead for VeTerran. Getting up some upgrades as well. Fusion core on the way for itself. And getting up lots of turrets too, which will be handy against a bot that builds battle cruisers that can potentially teleport. Both these Terran bots are just going to start expanding all over the place. We'll see if it's going to be a orbital command or a planetary for BenBot. That could definitely affect the outcome of this game as well, as if one bot is making just orbitals and the other makes planetaries at all of its expansions, that can really put the other bot behind economically. So we do see VeTerran. Is it going to get up an orbital? It is going for an orbital on its 4th. We'll see if it gets that on its 5th too, whereas BenBot has yet to reveal its hand, as it's just so darn busy making SCVs. All over the place, we got multiple tanks on the way for VeTerran, as it hasn't made too much anti-air to deal with the battle cruisers. The current air count is 1 BC and 3 Vikings against 1 Viking, 2 Ravens. Then there's also the Big Daddy Thor on the ground, and upgrades are rolling for both sides a bit. It is going to be a planetary at the 3rd for BenBot, so it's already looking like it's going to be a bit behind in the economy, not dropping mules or anything like that. VeTerran is saving up scan energy on some of those orbitals. However, there we see those mules are dropping. It's now getting out its own battle cruiser. And yeah, BenBot's defensive style is very good at ensuring it lives, but when it comes to a race towards the late game, that makes me a little bit concerned, as it is already going to be a 6 base on the way for VeTerran, and that is so far ahead of BenBot, which is now just getting up its 4th. This one's going to be a planetary as well, so that means it's got less orbitals to play with, whereas VeTerran, yeah, it is getting up more and more orbitals. It's going to drop more and more of those mules, so if we actually pull up that income tab, it is leaning blue, despite the actual worker lead for BenBot. BenBot is now starting to move out onto the map. However, it's got a formidable force, which is actually quite scary here. There's 6 Vikings and 1 battle cruiser, which you may say formidable force, but it's like, as far as anti-air goes, it's like a Thor, the 1 BC, and the 1 Viking for VeTerran. VeTerran's coming in with its own BC. However, it actually just gets deleted and taken out by the Vikings. There's the Thor on the ground, a Widowmine to back it up. The battle cruiser teleports on out of there before it dies, so 1 BC for no BC is dying, and then the Viking count is very scary for BenBot. So as long as it keeps those alive, it can potentially get some more great trades off the back of them. Losing that BC does hurt VeTerran. It's also making 4 siege tanks at a time, which may be a bit overkill when we're going to be looking at an air versus air battle. And I'll say it is overkill, not it maybe. It is overkill, this many siege tanks, as it's currently up to 12, which is a ridiculous amount. Once again, these bots are designed for all kinds of situations. They're very well rounded, but that leads to situations like BenBot playing overly defensive and VeTerran apparently playing overly siege tank dependent, as it is going to be all about that air versus air as this game progresses. VeTerran up to 6 bases. BenBot now floating over its 5th, it seems, so better late than never. It's not like it's starved on the economy. It's just a little lower than it could be. We're also seeing 1 BC be made against 4 at a time, and that's quite concerning for VeTerran, seeing as how it's still making triple siege tank production. Like, what on earth do you need all these tanks for, my guy? Apparently the answer is going to be to attack its opponent, and these tanks are going to need some Yamato cannons. Raven gets Yamato cannon. There's some Marines to help this one Thor, which is like the majority of the anti-air for VeTerran. If these siege tanks can get into good positions, who knows, maybe they can get some good kills, but they are very unsupported as far as the anti-air goes. Tanks cannot shoot up. If they could, that BC would be in trouble, but they're still getting some work done as these Marines waddle on in for BenBot, and they just get deleted. The 1 siege tank is there for BenBot. It ate a shot, but it stayed alive. This battle cruiser is now killing off lots of siege tanks. Insane cost efficiency there, as we have Marines with only 1 attack upgrade fighting 2 armor battle cruisers, which is just incredibly slow. The BC for VeTerran is here. It could potentially teleport out of danger, and it does, staying alive. The battle cruiser count for BenBot is just surging on up. As a result, we're seeing more anti-air get started for VeTerran. It's going to be that Viking, Thor, Cyclone, Cinnamon Spice, and everything nice. We did see a refinery go down. BenBot letting us know, keeping track of that. However, it's currently 6 BCs to not a lot of anti-air for the blue Terran. Is one battle cruiser can try, or this 1 Thor can try as much as it likes. It does eat a Yamato cannon, and it has to get that out of there. We've also seen no Yamato cannon be researched for VeTerran, which is not good when you're making battle cruisers. Yamato cannon's kind of important. We do still have units pushing all over the place for VeTerran, though, keeping the pressure on BenBot, also taking all these bases. The mule income difference has got to be insane this game. And just from VeTerran dropping all those mules, we've got Marines engaging battle cruisers. BenBot's teleport threshold is very high, though, so it's yet to lose any BCs. Resource lost-wise, it's incredibly far ahead as a result. As the Thor count grows, that may change a little bit, though, as they can pop off those BCs with their insanely high damage. Yamato cannon going to kill a Cyclone. You never know what the target's going to be, but it is going to die when it's Yamato cannon. We do have no sign of a 7th, 8th base for VeTerran, taking potentially what belongs to BenBot, as it's still just busy pushing on in. There is a command center floating on over here for BenBot. This could be a good target for VeTerran to take down, as these Marines are just hanging out here for now. In come the BCs, though. This base going to turn into a planetary fortress if it's not killed. Auto turret gets tossed down, a few more tanks rolling on in. This game is crazy. This is why I never have a problem casting a BenBot versus VeTerran match, as you know it's just going to involve Thors fighting battle cruisers. Looks like BenBot will secure up this location, pushing the puny Marines away. And then VeTerran still not taking this extra base, which makes me a little bit concerned, because if this game does go to like 8 versus 8 base situation, that will not be good. We've got one Hellion harassing while this game is going on as well. The Thor count is currently only 2. We're seeing a few more be made, but like VeTerran's still pumping siege tanks, which is not it. Siege tanks are not what it needs right now. Still no Yamato, or it's just researching Yamato cannon now. Better late than never, I do suppose. Resources lost, though. It's 7,000 to 17,000. A big discrepancy for a mirror matchup. This base is being taken by one of these players. I'm not sure which one it is. Looks like it is going to be BenBot floating that on over. VeTerran has said, I've got all the bases on my map. That's all on my side of the map. That's all I need. May actually need more than that, though, so I wouldn't mind it to build a command center there. I don't think that's going to happen, though. We see the Viking count now growing for VeTerran. It's currently 6 to 9, though, so still pretty far behind in that regard. Wouldn't going to get some shots off. Yamato cannon's going to be going down to it. Oh, precious Thor gets deleted. And BenBot is looking real darn good here. Thors can try against the BCs, and they will try. But this is looking like the game is getting set up pretty darn well for BenBot. We see a constant attack by the blue Terran bot, which is just really feeding into the red Terran. Resources lost, like, it's not a complete wash, but it's still not good, as we see a Widowmine gonna hit a bunch of Marines. The fact that Marines are being built at this point in the game isn't great. And we've got more tanks rolling on in. The fact that tanks are still being made at this point of the game is not great. 29 have gone down, and they have accomplished not a whole heck of a lot. And we're going to be seeing 2 more of those go down as well. VeTerran's composition is slowly turning into more anti-air, though. There's Yamato cannon on both sides. That's going to change the trading efficiency there. A couple more Thors coming on in here. This could be big, as now the BCs are getting pushed away. Those Thors deal a lot of damage, and while BenBot has got a lot of BCs, it is always rotating them home for repairs. And that means they're not fighting, whereas VeTerran is just constantly in attack mode. It's also going to be losing a lot of SCVs to this one Hellion, as Vikings now microing against those battle cruisers still. Where's the Thors? They're the big damage dealers, pushing away more and more of these BCs. Resources lost, though, still very in favor of the red Terran. Vikings getting injured, getting shot down by some of these Thors. And now we're seeing VeTerran move on in. It's pushing the envelope as much as it can. Has a BC died for BenBot? Not yet. It's taken incredible care of its battle cruisers this match. And now it's coming on in with a lot more that have been repaired. It's defending on the planetary. It deletes a Thor with a Yamato cannon. There's going to be a couple more Yamato cannons there too. The Thor does get evacuated from another Yamato cannon. Still, though, VeTerran having a hard time breaking this location. And we're seeing a couple Marines. They're like, yeah, that's a planetary. There's a base down here that is yet to be punished and can't really be punished. So the planetaries are useful in that regard. And BenBot, yeah, it's just losing so many more resources compared, or VeTerran's losing so many more resources compared to BenBot. Thor eats Yamato cannon, has to teleport. Yamato cannon's going down on both sides. Will we see a battle cruiser go down? Yes, we do. The first BC perishes. That could be the first of many in this game, as VeTerran is still going to try attacking some more. BenBot can repair this base non-stop, though. The Thor is trying to hold the line here, but in comes like 5 BCs, and every time that VeTerran gets close to the base of BenBot, things get really problematic. There is really good Viking control from VeTerran, getting just maximum amount of shots off, and it is forcing away these battle cruisers of BenBot again and again. A tank, however, gets sieged on up. The Thor going to have to be evacuated once more. The Vikings are poking around right into a Widowmine, which is not good. And VeTerran is just throwing more and more units into the grinder. That is the truth. There ain't no doubt about that. We have seen all the SCVs repairing this planetary die, but then we also just saw the battlecruiser die as this non-stop engagement. This is the fun thing about these bots, and we are seeing this planetary get shelled a little bit. It's at half HP, no SCVs on deck to repair it. That siege tank is getting a big repair, keeping that alive. The BCs are coming on in to potentially save this location. Some SCVs do get assigned to repair that. Thor gets the Yamato cannon and deleted, and BenBot almost lost this base. However, it was able to keep that alive. Very, very critical for now anyway, as Marines are now running on in, eating Yamato cannon shots. Thor is coming on in too. These SCVs are going to repair. Auto turret going to target down some of them. However, there's that big old fleet of battle cruisers if we look a little bit south, and they do just get such efficiency with the Yamato cannon on the Thors. And the composition for VeTerran this game just hasn't quite been it, I don't think, as it's lost 20,000 resources more than its opponent, and it's on the exact same amount of base. It's probably 60 dead tanks this game, 47. I mean, when you're guessing that many dead tanks, so you know there's a fundamental problem. Marines are stimming on in, chasing away a few of the BCs. There is a Widowmine going to get a shot off. More Yamato cannons going to go down. Battlecruiser does not get the Yamato cannon off on the Thor. Good medivac save there. And these BCs, though, are still just holding this position. SCVs are transitioning to this base. And yeah, BenBot's late game strategy is definitely the winning one in this situation, as once it gets up a certain amount of bases, it is something to really contend with. And 4 tanks at a time just is not it. If it made a couple more Thors instead of all these tanks, I think it would be doing a lot better for itself. But this is the thing, VeTerran makes a very well-rounded composition, but it does suffer against the more specialized ones. Thor's coming on in. Will it be saved by a medivac? Yes, it will. We're still seeing constant Yamato cannons go down, as there's been now 5 dead Thors this game, which isn't that many. That is in part due to the great repair and medivac save behavior that VeTerran has. It's still 32 Marines against mass BCs, though. They are targeting down the odd Viking. It's been 33 dead Vikings for BenBot, which is probably where a lot of its resources lost come from. Yamato cannon hits the Thor. It will be evacuated, however. And yeah, BenBot is still holding the line. Hold the line, says BenBot, and hold the line it will. And once again, in come all the Marines, as BenBot has got a lot of these units hitting the repair shop. As, yeah, VeTerran trying its luck to push on in once more. If it breaks this base, that could really turn this game on its head. That's going to be the main question. It got close once before. These SCVs repairing the planetary are very big, though. Very important. And the siege tanks that are shelling away on this base will get picked off by the BCs. The refinery gets killed, but we need to see the actual base go down. The Thor is dealing good damage. A battlecruiser does actually perish. One of the few killed this game, if not the very second BC to die for BenBot, which just goes to show how well they trade out. The Viking micro for VeTerran is really good in order to avoid shots, but then also get off the maximum amount of shots. We see Yamato cannon going into a Thor. That's actually not the most efficient if the Thor just pulls back and gets repaired. VeTerran actually bogged up a little bit on its own Marines. Thor's getting some shots off on some BCs. Yamato cannon gonna kill a Raven. And VeTerran is just a crazy pushing bot. It just never stops. I guess it really is just the amount of mules that it's dropping that it's able to keep this push going. And it's actually getting a little bit close. It's got lots of tanks on this base now. There is 3 Thors in the mix, and it will kill the planetary. That is actually just nuts that it was able to break this location and deny BenBot this base. BenBot's mining is good, but it's not great, as it has just constantly been burning resources and not mining it nearly as much as a Terran regularly should, as it hasn't been dropping that many mules. It's got like 1 orbital command, and the mules really are what has allowed VeTerran to constantly be trading here. Now, that being said, these BCs are still no joke. They're trying to get Yamato cannons off on the Thors, and as VeTerran gets a little too far forward, it is in trouble. We see siege tanks now randomly get assigned to this base down south for BenBot, and this is incredibly problematic, as 3 siege tanks shelling on a planetary just burns money for the red Terran. We see the blue Terran still pushing on in here. kills off a Viking and a battle cruiser. Now, this planetary here is under pressure, while this base is under pressure too. Looks like this location, or this attack squad, will be shut down. A lot of money was burnt repairing this planetary, though, but shutting it down is really important for BenBot. This planetary, however, is under a bit of threat. Thors will be evacuated, not quite in time. One of them does perish. BenBot's incredibly broke, though, whereas VeTerran has money to play with. Out on the map, we see more Ravens getting Yamato cannon. Thors doing what they can to push them away. And it is incredible how much money it is costing BenBot to repair all these battle cruisers. It actually is short on money to repair these BCs. That's how much they're engaging, which is just ridiculous. We see another attempt to get a base in this location for BenBot. That's really darn important. If it can establish that, it can stay in this game and potentially win with the long-term efficiency. Yamato cannon kills off one of these Thors once more. This planetary is being shelled again by siege tanks, as VeTerran seems to change its attack location. Looks like a Thor does find this potential planetary fortress. However, BCs are coming on in to secure this location for BenBot, and if this location gets secured, then I think BenBot may have the legs it needs in this game. This base is still being shelled away again and again, as there's more and more money being burned for BenBot repairing that. VeTerran is attacking all over the place, killing off the odd unit here and there. 70 SCVs have died, 125 Marines have died. So while BenBot isn't losing battle cruisers, it's losing lots of other things. Thor is shooting away on that planetary fortress. They pack a lot of damage. This base is being threatened. So far, this base hasn't turned into a planetary. BenBot has been too broke. And VeTerran is just attacking, and it actually broke this location down here with like 7 siege tanks set up on it. And that is going to cut into the resources of BenBot. VeTerran is now pushing into another critical base. It's just ridiculous how it's been able to take such terrible trades, yet the design difference has allowed VeTerran to keep on going. As, like, resources lost, I don't believe counts repair. So no, I don't believe that it does. And so as a result, we have seen BenBot's resources lost, I guess, be a little bit skewed in a way. And with not having the mule money to support it, it's actually just running out of steam here. And VeTerran just dropping mules like mad. When there's 8 bases on the map, I believe I counted right, it's able to sustain non-stop attacks for almost 27 minutes, whereas BenBot loses a base, starts taking worse trades, and just falls to pieces, as we've seen. Now it can't afford to repair all its BCs, and I'm sure these BCs, some of them have a lot of kills on them. It seems at least 10 kills on every single one of these BCs, just about. This one with 24, which is crazy, but then it's just not enough. Not enough, as these Thors have been doing mad work, and now we see VeTerran actually starting to take this location, which is really cool to see. A single siege tank shelling away on this planetary. BenBot only has 8 SCVs. It's not mining at all. And yeah, while the planetaries are pivotal to the defense of BenBot, they really did handicap it in this TVT. Like, I honestly expected the attack of VeTerran just to fail, just for it to start to run out of money. And then BenBot would just start building a bank, wouldn't really lose too much, but at some point VeTerran's non-stop attacks were just able to snowball a little bit. BenBot couldn't keep replacing the units. It constantly had a lot that weren't actually fighting, back at home repairing, and that's how VeTerran came out on top. Just dropping mules like a mad dog, and it did a really great job doing that. And yeah, I think the mules were a big factor towards the success for VeTerran. I know I knocked the siege tanks when it came to the efficiency, but they did allow the attack to work. They were constantly picking off units. They were always having success, and yeah, BenBot is toast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watched all the way to the end of this video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Join the Discord, which is linked down below. If you do want to support this kind of long-form botcast, consider becoming a YouTube member. You can check out the perks with that join button or the link down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. As what a game that was. I always love casting these games. It's Thors versus BCs. What is not to love?